Welcome to This Guy's Sports Talk. Let's get started. Here is your host, Baldesh Singh.
Welcome back to an episode of This Guy Sports Talk. I'm your host, your favorite host, Baldesh Singh. And just so we can create the biggest sports community in the world, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. And let's get started. So it's officially here, ladies and gentlemen. It's officially here. It is the week leading up to the Super Bowl. And before I cover the Super Bowl in depth, or the preview of the Super Bowl in depth, there was a subject that I wanted to cover. It is a little bit of a touchy subject, but I'm going to cover it regardless. I wanted to take a second and explain to you why sports has had such a big influence on my life. I know we just came out of a hostile year of 2020 where we had a lot of division amongst people in this country. Racism is something, I've experienced, something I've witnessed, and the year 2020 brought it into the light even more. And even though I've witnessed racism and experienced racism, there is one realization that I had growing up in this country. And that one realization growing up in this country was no matter what your race is, your creed, your gender, the one thing that I've noticed that has always brought everyone together, it's always been sports. And if you actually look back in history, sports has always had a weird way of unifying people in some of the toughest times. I'm a firm believer that 2021 will be a great year for me, and I truly hope that you believe that 2021 will be a great year for you. I don't know. In order to stop the division in this country, I feel like we all just need to come together and just be a part of one team. And I don't know, maybe we can call that one team the United States of America. And typically with the team, you always need a mascot. So maybe we can make the mascot the bald eagle. So in 2021, I highly advise you to be a little nicer, kinder, understanding of one another, even if, your backgrounds are completely different. And I think this is very important. Make sure to give one another grace. You have no idea how someone was raised, where they came from. You don't know their background. So I think it's extremely important, even if you disagree with someone, make sure to give them some grace, not disgrace. That would be racism is disgraceful. So, but yeah, anyways, grace. But I didn't want to spend too much time on this topic, but it was something that was laying very heavy on my heart. And I don't know, I wanted to use this platform and cover it, so I did. So back to the Super Bowl. But I know I have a monotone voice, and I've had people tell me I have a monotone voice, but I cannot express to you enough how excited I am to see these two teams collide in the Super Bowl. In this episode, what I want to do is I want to cover the strength and weaknesses of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs. And then at the very end, pick a winner and a final score. There's so many fascinating storylines with this matchup. You got the GOAT versus the baby GOAT. Can the Chiefs win it back-to-back? Can Tom Brady win without Bill Belichick? So many fascinating storylines, and I think a lot of people are wondering on how this game is going to get played out. And people will generally go back to Week 12, where the Kansas City Chiefs play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa, of course, and they ended up winning a close game of 27-24. Now, I don't exactly seeing the game being played out like that, and I'm not saying it's not going to be a close game. I just don't see Tyreek Hill going for 203 receiving yards in the first quarter. I mean, that was just absolutely ridiculous. I'm sure the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've had 2 weeks to prepare. I'm sure they'll probably have some kind of bracket coverage. You can't really stop Tyreek Hill, but the best thing that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense can do is at least contain him and really hope for the best. But yeah, in regards to the strengths, let's start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, what are a couple strengths that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have? Well, something that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are absolutely loaded on is their offensive side of the ball. But more importantly, their skill positions. And when I talk about skill positions, I'm talking more about, like the running back, wide receiver, tight end, of course the quarterback at the very end. But when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you literally have a stacked lineup. On your right, you have Mike Evans, Pro Bowl wide receiver. He's had 7 1,000-yard receiving seasons in a row. No one's ever done that, not even Jerry Rice. On the other side, you have Charles Godwin, Pro Bowler. You have Rob Gronkowski. I swear, I cannot pronounce this guy's last name. Gronkowski. So Gronk, Pro Bowl tight end. Rob Gronkowski, Pro Bowl tight end. You have Cameron Brate as your backup tight end. He's a great receiving tight end. You have Ronald Jones, who can bang it between the tackles and outside the tackles. Same thing with Leonard Fournette. They still have LaShawn McCoy. They still have Keyshawn Vaughn, who they drafted in the 3rd round. I mean, they are absolutely stacked on the offensive side of the ball in regards to skill positions. Now, on the defensive side, their front seven is an extremely dangerous front seven. And when I say front seven, what a front seven is where there's either 3 defensive linemen, and 4 linebackers, or 4 linebackers and 3 defensive linemen. So I hope I said that right. So yeah, 3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, or 4 defensive linemen and 3 linebackers. So that's what a front seven is. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have one of the most lethal front sevens in the league right now. They actually tied in 4th place out of 32 teams in the most sacks. They were actually, they were 3rd in quarterback pressures this year. And overall, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have a front seven that just, I don't know, they love to fly around. They have speed off the edge. They have power in the middle, and they have linebackers that can do it all. So that's some of the strengths that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have. Now, in regards to weaknesses, let's talk about their secondary. This is a secondary that got roasted, that got torched by Patrick Mahomes for 462 passing yards. And I believe Tyreek Hill that game had 269 receiving yards. But this secondary is ranked 21st out of 32 teams. So not exactly a great secondary. In the NFC Championship, there was a safety by the name of Whitehead who was actually out, and they also had their other starting safety, Antoine Winfield Jr., who was actually out as well. So if those 2 pieces don't return, I can absolutely see Patrick Mahomes cooking this secondary and this defense and just tearing them apart limb by limb. The other weakness I see with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's more to do with the coaching staff more than to do with the players. When you take a look at Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich, they go by this mentality of, gotta risk it for the biscuit. And a great example of that was last year when they had Jameis Winston as their starting quarterback. The guy threw for over 5,000 yards, but the guy also threw for 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. So they have this weird fetish for this risk it for the biscuit, but unfortunately they didn't really get the biscuit last year. So the biggest times I've seen Tom Brady in trouble this year was when Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich just wanted to air it out. And Tom Brady has his own system. He likes the short passing game, the medium passing game, the throwing the ball to the running back out of the backfield, and then later hitting the deep shots. So as long as Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich, they don't get a big head, they don't turn into gamblers, and let Tom Brady play his game, it shouldn't be a big deal. But it's something that has occurred multiple times this year, and it could bite him in the butt again. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs, let's talk about their strengths. When it comes to their strengths, I would say kind of similar to the Buccaneers. The skill positions on the offensive side, you have Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, who are each top 5 in each of their positions. I really like their defensive line, their secondary. And I think combining that with Steve Spagnuolo and their blitz packages, this is something that could definitely upset Tom Brady and his rhythm. The defensive line is loaded with Chris Jones and Frank Clark, and there's this really nice defensive back that I like for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I believe, I hope I don't butcher his first name, Legarius, I believe, but I know the player, his last name is Sneed. This is a cornerback, and I will say cornerback is probably the second hardest position to play in the NFL. So Bashar Breeland ended up getting busted for performance-enhancing drugs, so he's out for the first 4 games. So they put this rookie cornerback that was drafted in the 4th round out of Louisiana Tech. The guy ends up finishing the year out with 40-plus tackles, and the guy ended up finishing up with 3 interceptions. So if we were to do a redraft, I don't see why Sneed wouldn't get drafted in the first round. So major kudos to the Kansas City Chiefs on scouting, drafting, and developing a 4th round cornerback, which is the second hardest position to play. Because this guy would have instantly, if everybody could do a redo, this guy instantly would be a 1st round pick. No mistake about it. So the biggest weakness I see with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think this might tip the scales. I don't know. The biggest weakness I see with the Kansas City Chiefs is their offensive line. So you had your starting right tackle, Mitchell Schwartz, who is actually the best right tackle in the National Football League. And you have your starting left tackle, Eric Fisher, who is he was a first overall pick. He was the first round pick, first overall pick. He's made it to 2 Pro Bowls. They're both not going to be available for the game. Your starting left tackle is not going to be available for the game, and your starting right tackle is not going to be available for the game. Mind I remind you, last game when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played the Green Bay Packers, Shaquille Barrett had, I believe, 3 sacks, and Jason Pierre-Paul on the other side had 2 sacks. So I guess I'm just trying to see, with your starting left and right tackles out, and you have Shaquille Barrett, Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul, and a quarterback by the name of Patrick Mahomes with a turf toe, who last week when he was scrambling for a first down, he was hobbling. So if you take those 2 starting tackles out and you have Patrick Mahomes hobbling, this is a game that can get very, very ugly. But I don't know. If anyone can really overcome it, it's 2 guys, and those 2 guys just happen to be playing against each other in a Super Bowl. So I don't know. I think this is what hardcore football fanatics have always wanted. They've always wanted a Michael Jordan versus LeBron James football type of a game. You got Tom Brady, like I said, the GOAT versus the baby GOAT of Patrick Mahomes. I would say the Buccaneers are much more talented all around. However, I would say the Kansas City Chiefs, they have better chemistry as a whole unit. The Buccaneers, I'm going to say they're almost there, but I don't know. I see Tom Brady struggling to build rapport with his wide receivers, And I don't know. I'd say the Buccaneers have, the better talent all around, but the Chiefs definitely have better chemistry. So I don't know. It's been a week and a half since we found out who was playing in the Super Bowl. I still struggled a week and a half in on picking a winner because you essentially have Captain Comeback Senior and Tom Brady versus Captain Comeback Junior and Patrick Mahomes. And it's almost as if whoever has the ball last will end up winning the game. So my final score of the game, and I pray it's not a blowout, but my final score of the game is Kansas City 34, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 37. I hope you all have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Make sure to spend time with your friends, loved ones. Make sure to enjoy the food, and remember to take care of yourselves, because if you can't take care of yourselves, you can't take care of others. So.
Thank you for tuning into this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode of This Guy's Sports Talk.